Hello, this is Dr. J back with some more. Let's play Metroid Prime Remastered Blind. So, we're back here in what the map calls the Watery Hall, with that big door that doesn't care about my rockets, my missiles. I came back here and explored a little bit and came to an interesting discovery. There are symbols matching the symbol on the doors scattered around this room. The runic symbol has been activated. So I suspect that if I find and activate all of these symbols, maybe that's what will open the door. Now I suspect they're going to be fairly cleverly hidden. So finding them is probably not going to be the easiest thing in the world. But we will endeavor and do our best. Trace sediments indicate water once flowed here. Through that mouth, I suppose. Aha, there's another one right there. Well, so far they haven't been hard to find. Wouldn't surprise me if there's just one that's really fiendishly hidden, though. Oh, and they light up on the door when you find them, too. Okay. Well, now we realize this mechanic exists, so the next time we run into it, we'll know that we have to find symbols corresponding to the door hidden around the chamber. Object out of scanning range. Roots originate over walls. No decomposition detected. Host plant appears to thrive on toxic water. Well, that's a hardy plant. Maybe the whole point of that lower path is because that's how you find two of the symbols. Because otherwise, that lower path doesn't seem to serve much purpose. Get out of here, you! Oh. Well, that was rude. Oh, that's extremely rude. Do you mind? I'm trying to find runic symbols hidden around the chamber. And being assaulted while I am attempting to do so is quite impolite. Wouldn't surprise me if some of them can only be seen from one of these chambers, because that would be pretty evil. Or one of these platforms in front of a tentacle, I mean. I've only found two, so... Oh. 3. 1 to go. You know, if I'd just been a little more observant before, I could have made that connection. Alright, where's the last one? I bet the last one is really fiendishly hidden. Clearly I missed it. Okay, I can land on this platform. Already found that one. Isn't that the root? Yeah, that's just the root. Oh. Got it. It was just sitting there on the floor. Awesome. The door should open now, I assume. And what will be our prize? Maybe an energy tank? Maybe more missiles? Or maybe it's a mandatory upgrade. Oh, it's a charge shot! Awesome! Hopefully that means I'm not going to have to jam on the trigger quite so much anymore. Oh, hey guys. Wonder if I can kill them permanently with the charge shot. Yup, I can. Get out of here, you. Oh, new Chozo lore entry. Let's check that out. Meteor strike. Disaster struck suddenly. We had a vague, dark foreboding, and it became truth. A meteor appeared from nowhere, casting a dark shadow of debris over the land with the violence of its impact. Its destructive force spent the fallen star, burned itself out rapidly, and the incident should have faded into memory. But the meteor brought with it corruption. A great poison burst forth into the land, a strange energy that clawed at natural life with a ferocity. That strange negative energy emitted from the meteor expanded to encompass Talon 4 in a night, as a spider weaves a web. Well, that sounds all kinds of unpleasant. Okay, and we already read this one. Alright, so a meteor struck the planet, and then the Chozo had to contain it. I think we are now done here. So, I wonder what we've unlocked now that we have the charge beam. Let's check our map. Wait a minute. Was there more stuff beyond that? Oh my gosh, am I the biggest idiot ever? I thought I was done in there. Maybe if I used a charge beam on the back wall, I could have blasted my way through to more. Good lord. Sorry, folks. I probably should have checked my map to realize that there was more in the chamber that I hadn't unlocked. That's my bad. Ah, good grief. Now I need to kill all these guys again. Oh, it's a morph ball entrance. Which maybe I need the bomb. Yep. Thank you, map. Oops. Floor ventilation fans still functional despite multiple failed electrical connections. Oh, I need the magnetic thing for this. And I can't make the jump anyway. Sufficient blast trauma. Like a missile? Oh! Yes, missile expansion. Beautiful. So I should be able to carry 15 now. That's a good improvement. A 50% improvement, in fact. Yeah, I can't quite seem to make the jump up to this unless I'm just messing it up. Yeah, it just doesn't quite seem doable. Yeah, I think not only do I need the whatever the magnetic upgrade is going to be to ride that up, but I'm going to need something to jump up here. How do I activate the fan is the question. Oh, the fan is slowly moving. Maybe I need another power-up that lets me, I don't know, ride a very weak air current upward? I have no idea. Whatever is here, I don't think I can mess with it yet. So we'll try to remember that this is here and come back later when we have more upgrades. Whoa, excuse me. Yeah, damn it. I saw those guys stopped in mid-jump, landed in acid, and it all went downhill from there. I think we're done there for now, then. Come on. Alright, we did it. Okay, so, once again, checking the map. Wonder if there's a way to get into here. Yeah, I bet there is, because you know what just suddenly occurred to me? This symbol. I saw this, I activated it, I wasn't sure what it did. I bet there's more than one. Just like in that other room. Which means we have... Oh, incoming scan data. Fluid patterns analyzed, okay. Main source of toxin in ruins detected. Oh, okay, so... First it was telling me to go to... What was that location? Fandrea or something like that? But now it wants me to go there. Okay. Well, thank you, hint system. So, looks like we're on a runic symbol hunt again. Structural weakness detected. Okay, well, it doesn't care about my missiles or my charge shot. That was a well-hidden symbol. Good lord. Okay, well, that's 3 out of 4 symbols. I assume there's 4. I don't know that for a fact. Toxicity levels critical. Vast portions of trees' cellular structure have been consumed by toxins distributed through source water. That sounds very unpleasant for the tree. Overwhelming toxin levels have rotted all leaves, so this is not one of those trees that thrives on toxic water, then. Analysis suggests the presence of a runic symbol here, but I'm not close enough to activate it, right? Aha. That is the sound of success. The door is open. But... oh, what? Oh, okay. I guess those plants are toxic then. Okay, thought I made that jump. Clearly not. It opened the door, but it didn't seem to form a bridge going to the door. Huh. Walls appear to have been constructed with extreme delicacy around tree limbs. What does it want me to do here exactly? I've tried the charge shot. I've tried missiles. Why is it not happy with me? Hey guys. You might be wondering why I'm greeting you in the middle of a video. Well, it's because at this point in the video, I muted myself to deal with my cat, who was getting underfoot. And I forgot to unmute myself, which meant the entire second half of this video was uncommentated. So I'm adding this commentary in post. Here it looks like I finally figured out that, hey, maybe I can actually get in there with the morph ball, and that it's the morph ball bombs that are used to destroy the obstacles in the way. Now I made the decision to add this post commentary like a while after I recorded this episode, over a week I think. So I'm coming back and recording this well after the fact, which means although I remember that I had a boss fight in this video, I don't remember much else of what I did. So I'm basically watching this and commentating on it sort of with you guys, because I don't remember most of this. One other thing to note is I did record several videos after this one before I made the decision to add the post-commentary, so I might make a couple of references to the fact that the latter half of this video was uncommentated, which made sense at the time because I hadn't yet decided to go back and add commentary, but now it won't make sense since I did later make the decision to go back and add the commentary. Just as an FYI, so that's the reason for that apparent discrepancy that might be coming up in a couple future videos. Okay, so basically we have to repeatedly go into the morph ball form and bomb some obstacles that are in our way in that part, and then use the missile to get through that blast door. There are a lot of cases as I played this game where I struggle to figure out things, and then afterward, once I see what the solution was, after I figured it out, I look back and I'm like, man, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out this one thing that ended up being really simple. And there are occasionally times where I almost wish that I would practice a game like this ahead of time so that I have a better idea what to do, and it makes for a smoother playthrough. Because I worry that I'm derping so much that it gets frustrating to watch, because I know for some viewers that kind of thing is frustrating. And I sort of feel more comfortable in general LPing games that I know well, where I sort of know what's coming and know how to play the game. But I know there are viewers who really like this kind of blind LP and this very fresh, authentic experience of not knowing what you're doing, derping and all. So even though it's not the most comfortable style of LPing for me, hopefully there are some viewers who are really enjoying this very blind style, and it's a nice way to kind of broaden my horizons. So obviously we've reached the boss chamber here. And we've got this giant, horrifying flower monster. And it was pretty obvious that this was a boss arena. And the game pretty nicely telegraphs that there's these mirrors shining light down onto it. This thing has a pretty good design for being a horrifying looking monster, by the way. Metroid in general is really good at having legitimately like monstrous and horrifying designs for a lot of its enemies, which is not too surprising since it was very much inspired by the Alien franchise. And obviously the design of the xenomorphs is one of the iconic horrifying sci-fi things. So the makers and the artists and the designers of Metroid, although they didn't go for that Geiger or Giger-esque look precisely, the look they went for is sort of adjacent to that, where there's a lot of really frightening looking alien things. And I think they did a really good job with it. The Metroid franchise in general just does such a fantastic job of creating an uneasy atmosphere and really frightening looking alien monsters and that sort of thing. Alright, so obviously I was reading the description from scanning it out loud there. And I remember that there was an earlier log entry that basically telegraphed that there was a monster that was powered by sunlight. So I'm pretty sure I rather quickly figured out in this boss fight that what I need to do is manipulate the mirrors so that they're not pointing at the monster. But I think it took me a moment to figure out exactly how I'm supposed to do that, and that I have to stun the boss in order to prevent it from just immediately flipping the mirrors back up once I temporarily disable them. It did take me a little bit to figure out that you have to stun the boss and then flip the mirror. At least once there's more than a single mirror pointing at it, you need to do that. I did fairly quickly figure out that you have to flip it using the charge shot, that works a lot better than just using regular shots. But anyway, once you disable all of the mirrors currently pointing at the boss, it falls over. The defenses in front of these tunnels retract, and you have to roll in, plant your bomb, do some damage. I think you have to go through 4 cycles. First time, there's only 1 mirror you have to flip, then 2, then 3, then all 4. Some of these boss fights, most of them even, really make me think of the Zelda franchise. Both in general, but especially the 3D Ocarina of Time-like Zeldas, where defeating the bosses is as much solving a puzzle as it is technical combat ability. A lot of these Metroid Prime bosses feel pretty similar to that, where at least half of the fight is figuring out how to defeat the boss, and once you figure that out, the amount of technical skill needed to pull off the correct technique varies, but it's typically not super high. The barrier is usually not really prohibitively high. Now, I say that, I'm not done with the game as I'm recording this. I just finished recording the 10th episode. And this, of course, is the post-commentary for episode 5, so I would roughly guess that I'm maybe about halfway through the game. I haven't gotten anywhere near half of all the items because I'm missing a whole lot of optional items and stuff because of a combination of factors. I'm avoiding looking at walkthroughs so that I'm trying to figure out the game just genuinely myself for the satisfaction of it and in the hope that maybe it makes for a more interesting playthrough. And also because I only have a limited amount of patience for just combing through the entire world looking for optional things. Especially in a world as big as this one, the Metroid world map is very, very large. And I'm mostly just looking out for optional secrets as I go from one mandatory area to the next. And the game typically seems to have the hint system show you where you need to be heading next if you get stuck for too long. Which is nice, I do appreciate that. But anyway, back to the boss fight. I think this is a pretty good example of a boss fight that, in terms of like fighting skill, the bar is fairly low. There's nothing this boss does that is like too terribly difficult to deal with. The damage it inflicts is pretty forgiving, so you can make a few mistakes and not die. So the real challenge here is just figuring out what you have to do in order to kill it. But the game telegraphs that pretty well, so it's not especially obscure what it is that you have to do. It's a pretty fun boss fight. You know, I like that the damage level it does is pretty forgiving. I think when you have really puzzly boss fights, where it could potentially be difficult to figure out how to defeat the boss, it's probably usually a good game design decision to make the boss's damage output and overall combat capability not super high, because if the boss is both really difficult to fight and difficult to figure out how you have to fight it, that would make for a very high difficulty level if you're dealing with both of those at the same time. Which is okay if it's like a final boss or an optional super boss, like make those as hard as you want. But for just general bosses, it's usually a good decision to not go like utterly bananas with the difficulty level, I think. Though of course there are some games that are just designed to be as ridiculously hard as possible, but I don't really get the impression that Metroid Prime is one of those games. It's certainly not easy. It's not a walk in the park by any means. But the principal difficulty with Metroid Prime mostly seems to be figuring out where to go and what to do. There are some enemies that are hard to fight. Honestly, one of the criticisms I might have with Metroid Prime is that not with the bosses so much, but with the regular enemies, the ones that are harder to fight are mostly difficult to fight just by virtue of it takes a long time to fight them. Especially the enemies where you have to lure them into like charging at you and then jump out of the way and then shoot their backside. Particularly the ones that have high hit points, like the Sheegoths. Fighting those just feels more like an exercise in patience than anything. Alright, I think that was the final cycle. So yeah, like I said, that's a pretty fun boss fight. And then it spews out some kind of horrible fluid as it dies. And look, you can actually see the water becoming more pure as it spews out of the thing. So that's going to purify the water in the area so it's not poisonous anymore, as I recall. Which is quite useful. And we get our prize, which is dramatic pause. Dramatic pose. Pause and pose. Charging up. I'd forgotten how ridiculously long this power-up sequence is. To be fair, we get our cool-looking suit back, so I guess that's worth a power pose. Varia suit acquired, and now we can go to the Magmore Caverns without getting burned alive. As I recall, the Varia suit was intended to actually be the barrier suit. The reason that it ended up being called the Varia suit in English is because in Japanese, because Japanese has a very different set of syllables from English, when you translate an English word like barrier into Japanese, and then you translate it from Japanese back into English, the word can actually become pretty garbled. And it really was the loan word barrier from English in Japanese was the name of the suit in the original Japanese. And it was probably like Baria, Barea, probably long A, I would imagine. Bari. Did I say E because I meant I if I said E? Baria would be like the transliteration. So Baria. And then when you translate that back into English, obviously you've lost the ER ending because there is no syllable in Japanese that ends with a consonant. All of their syllables end in vowels. And so you can't have like an sound in Japanese, so barrier becomes baria. And the reason that the B got turned into a V is because it sometimes is the case that a V in English ends up getting transliterated into a B in Japanese. And so the translators from the Japanese to the English, not realizing that baria was actually the loanword barrier, mistakenly turned the leading B into a V, hence barrier became varia, and it just stuck ever since. I guess because the people involved with the game decided that the word varia sounds cool. I apologize that I over-explained the heck out of that. I could have said that in half as many words, but whatever. I just think, even though I spent way too much time explaining that it's just a really neat little bit of trivia about why the Varia suit is called what it is called. It doesn't, in other words, there's no meaning to that in the lore. It was just a translation error. But it's kind of neat that it's a translation error that the people in charge of the game decided to just keep. I do like how there are these areas of the map where you can see through the ceiling that has kind of collapsed and fallen away, and you're in this dark, ominous dungeon, but you look up and you can kind of see the light shining through. And in that case, you see the vines or the roots or whatever they are kind of growing over the top of it. So these enemies respawn. The wasps are fairly annoying, but they're not especially difficult to deal with. It's just that you have to lock onto them one by one, and sometimes they attack you in swarms. Is this where I finally first realized that they spawn endlessly and you can destroy the hives with missiles, or did I already realize that before this video? Now the cordite, as it turns out, we don't have what we need to blow those up yet. Actually, it's only within the last recording or two, as of me recording this post-commentary, that I finally got the power-up that lets us destroy those cordite barriers. So that's like 4 or 5 videos in the future from here. Takes a while. As I'm recording this, the last thing that I did was kind of derping around in a room that I had already visited, trying to figure out how to get to a door that I had missed. I think in the video before this one, video 4. It's not super obvious or evident, at least to me, how to get to that door, but I'm pretty sure that door is the one that I need to get to next in order to get to where the hint system is currently showing me where I need to go. But why am I talking about that? That's in like episode 10, and this is episode 5. I honestly don't remember what it was that I did after defeating the boss and getting the Varia suit, other, of course, than probably going to the Magmoor Caverns and exploring that. That's probably what the rest of this video is. Oh, we're done. We're at the end of the video. All right. Yep, returned to the Magmoor Cavern, saved, and we're done. Well, that was some rambling post-commentary. Hopefully it wasn't awful. Hopefully it was more entertaining than if I had just left it uncommentated and had just turned the latter half of that into an uncommentated long play. Anyway, we're done. See you in the next video. Hopefully you'll join me for that, and I'll see you then.